what we have to expect if they go through with, which I think they're going to do, because it was
Right.
in Project 2025.
Everything they're doing was
is
in Project 2025.
Right. So we know about this. It's like, how
Right.
did you know? Oh, I read it.
Yeah.
So what's the plan here, and how is this going to affect everyday Americans?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we can legitimately ask Trump and Musk what's the plan here, because they don't have a plan, right?
Right.
But they did talk about this in Project 2025. So they say they want to get rid of Department of Education.
Right.
And I mean, you're an educator, so you know this. And when most people who don't work in education think about schools, public schools, they think about a few things. They think about a local tax levy on their property, because so much of school funding is based on a property tax. Or they think of a teacher strike, right? So those are kind of like the two things.
The labor unions too.
But those are the kind of like the two things that get people's attention. And here's the reality. We have students in the United States who aren't reading at grade level.
Yes.
That's a crisis in education. Getting rid of the Department of Education is not going to solve that problem.
How come?
Well, first
I know
of all,
it seems like simple, but explain that.
Well, so the Department of Education has a lot of funding. So there's a term called Title I funding. And Title I funding goes to school districts that tend to have a lower property tax rate, and they don't have the same resources. Then there's the funding for disabled kids.
Yes.
There's funding for Pell Grants, which is basically a grant that you get to go to college, and it typically serves low-income, low-middle-income families and students. And so there are things that they do that help supplement what's happening. In addition to that, they do professional development for teachers so they can hone their craft and become, more skilled at what they're doing. And so getting rid of the Department of Education, in my opinion, is on the path to having the Supreme Court look at Brown versus Board of Education. How do you deny that that is a path they're on? Because it's always a step in one direction. And if I think about what's happening overall, you look at the way they are cutting these departments, Veterans Affairs. They're going to federal departments and they're saying it's waste, fraud, and abuse without actually identifying what specifically is being fraudulent or abusive, and not having a methodical way of doing it. And they have taken federal government and government jobs and they've tried to demonize them and villainize them. Well, you support government jobs. I said, I support the services that government provides: clean air, clean water, safe food, safe air travel, all those things that are so important. And I think that's how you frame it. But one thing people miss in this, and I was connect the dots. So I'm talking about the Department of Education going away. We're talking about firing veterans and a lot of people who are civil servants. A lot of people who are civil servants got a chance to get decent jobs and a good retirement and benefits because the private sector back in the day was discriminating. So for a lot of minority families, Black families, this was the path to the middle class, just like the military was a path to the middle class. And so how do you look at this and say, are they trying to kick people out of the middle class or keep people out of the middle class? Because there's a desire to try to control people. So anyway, this is not a tinfoil hat.
No, it isn't.
This is looking at the facts and the direction things are going and connecting the dots.
It's connecting the dots. It's not tinfoil hat at all.
Yeah.